Hi, I'm Trevor London in this Spirit Life Coaching. I'm going to give you the 7 steps of creative thinking and show you how I see how it intersects with a 7 days creation account. Now, creativity thinking and creative thinking is something that I really like to research. I really like to have a part of. It helps me in my writing. It helps me as I prepare messages. It really, it's something that I believe we all need to understand. And, I don't believe it's just for artistic types. I believe that everybody needs to be creative. Everyone is creative, and understanding the process will actually help you to see how you can process, take that idea, that act of taking the idea to reality. Or for you creative types, calling that which is not into being. Anyway, Plato in his dialogue of I can't even say it. It's a dialogue of Theatius. Talks about the 7 stages of philosophical midwifery, and basically from that, social scientists have come up with these 7 steps to creative thinking. And these steps, they're not in order. It's not step 1, 2, 3. You kind of go back and forth and this here and there, and you got little eureka moments and big eureka moments, and it kind of just feeds back on each other. But let me just give you what it is. Number 1, you come up with a question or a problem. Most of us, we become creative when we have that question or problem right in front of us, so we don't actually have to think, I wonder if. But if you're a creative type, I wonder what would happen if. You come up with a question. Number 2, you research and find possible solutions for that problems. 3, it's the enough is enough stage. It's like, okay, you can research something to death, and a lot of people get stuck in the research, and that never brings that idea to reality. But when you get to the stage where enough is enough, I got to get going, I got to get moving. The 4th stage is the gestation stage, and it's where you hold the question. It's detachment. It's you can approach the question through a metaphor or divergent behavior. When I'm writing and I'm if I'm stuck on a sermon point, if I'm stuck in a plot point in a novel, I get up, I go for a walk. My best ideas come in the bathroom. Like, your mind is on something else, and poof, it's come in. But you've done the research, you've done you've done all that work. Like, you're part of the creative process, right? And you do your work in that creative process. And so number 5, it's that eureka moment, and it can be a huge eureka moment where, it all makes sense. Some of you around the church, a couple of weeks ago, I've discovered what agape love actually is, and it's like, whoa, everything makes sense everywhere. And by the way, agape love isn't just God's love for us; it is love that's not emotional, and it's a decision, an action based on a decision. And read that in the New Testament and see what it does for you. Anyway. The sixth step is making it, and this is where we talked about the fear of judgment of others come in. Because if you have the fear, if you're afraid of how other people are going to judge you, you will never make it. Like, you can go through all the different steps, but right here you get choked up because what are people going to think? And I tell you, I'm kind of stuck on this with my current novel. I'm not really stuck. I know it's going to work out because I've been through this process a lot of times, but I don't feel like this novel should be a Christian novel. There's going to be Christian themes throughout. There's going to be an overarching redemption story. God's story is going to be told through it, but it's not for the Christian marketplace. It's for it's to plant the seeds. It's not to, no one's going to get saved in the book. Okay. Just so you know. But what are people going to say? And what are they going to think? And I got 6,000 people, most of whom are Christians. I got a lot of Muslims and Hindu people in there too, but I got this huge list, and I got to work through that, right? If I don't do it, I'm never going to actually make it. and I can't have be afraid of the judgment of others. The seventh is to share. It's testing and criticism, and you share what you've learned and you release it to the world and you see what happens. So that's the 7 steps of creative thinking. Okay, so come up with a question or problem, research it. Enough is enough stage, gestation, the eureka moment, making it, sharing it, and that's it. 7 steps. Now, let me just show you the account of Genesis in the account of the creation of the world in Genesis chapter 1. Now, so you know, God created everything, and in Genesis 1, he also put it in poetry form in Hebrew, and it's absolutely a brilliant poem. Tohu abohu, formless and void. It's absolutely gorgeous in Hebrew. But still, I believe we can take this poem and we can find the steps in the creative process. The 2 of them are a little bit out of line, but let me just explain what I mean. Okay, the first step, day 1, God creates light and separates the light from darkness, calling light day and darkness night. You see, when we have light, we can see, and when we see the problem. Right? We see what we need to deal with and the problem in front of us, or the challenge in front of us. Day 2, God creates the expanse to separate the earth and waters, to separate the waters in the sky. What is water? Water is life. And what's the life to ideas? It's step number 2, research. Yeah, I'm pressing some of these, but anyway, it works for me. Number 3, day 3, God creates the dry ground and gathers the water, calling the dry ground land and the gathered water seas. On day 3, God also creates vegetation. What is the step 3? It's the get going stage. You can't be stuck on the research. You got to get going. And that's what God's doing in day 3. It's like, okay, give them land. Let's get it going. Let's get some vegetation on there. So the land has, it'll hold in the land and feed the people and all these great things. Day 4, God creates the sun, the moon, the stars, gives light to the earth, that governs the days and nights. These would serve as signs to mark the seasons and the days. I do see this parallel with the gestation phase for us. It's not everything God's creating on the 4th day is things that are needed and necessary, but they're just, they're not the main event, right? Like it's the gestation stage. Now, here's day 5 and day 6 don't really line up with the step 5 and step 6, so I'm going to flip those around a bit. Day 5, God creates every living creature, the seas, every winged bird, blessing them to multiply and fill the waters in the sky with life. Step 5, step 5 in the 7-step creative process is the eureka moment, but I'm keeping that for next time. Step 5 in this account, I would say, is the make it phase. Remember, you can go in any. It's not a step 1, step 2, step 3. It's you're going to go back and forth in your creative process for all these things. So God creates the sea and the birds, and he blesses them to multiply, and that's the make it stage. Day 6, okay, God creates all the animals to fill the earth. He also creates man and woman in his image to commune with him and bless them, and gave every creature over the whole earth to rule and care for and cultivate to the man and the woman. Step 6, this is the eureka moment in the creative process, I believe. Now, you're going to have to go with me on this. I believe the angels were looking in on creation, wondering what was going on. I don't know when Satan rebelled, but it was after the creation of this world, because he was thrown down to this world. And here's just my little thing I play with in my brain. Like, if I was Satan, Lucifer, what does the Bible tell us about him? He's the morning star. He is the high one. He is the one that's beautiful. And until pride entered his heart, he was the most glorious of God's creation. And yet he sees God go down and make dirt in a form of his likeness, and then breathe into him the breath of life, the ruach, the ruach of life. And man, I could just see that pride rise up in him and say, what is he doing? And all the other angels would be like, what is he doing? And Satan and a third of the angels would say, what is he doing? Like it would offend them that their creator would stoop down and breathe his breath into this mud to create life. And man, yeah, whoo, eureka. For them, it'd be like, whoa, what's going on? It didn't happen again for Satan until the cross, where it's like, oh, that's what he was doing. I didn't see it coming. That eureka moment. Okay, so it's a bit of a stretch, I know, and it's a bit of a flip, but I see creation in there, creation in the creative forces in the creation account. Day 7, God finished with His work of creation. He rested on the seventh day. Step 7 is let it go, share it, let your work have a life of its own. If it's artistic, that's when you let it go and release to the public. If it's something administratively, yeah, you let the program go. If it's something, like it's a time for all of those. So we're talking about creativity here, and so I thank you for letting me be a little bit creative in how I see the 7 steps of creative thinking intersecting with the creation account. But I hope it also encourages you to know you serve a creative God, and you are creative humans made in His image. And it doesn't matter if you're artistic, you are creative, and you need to be creative to be in the kingdom. And I hope that encourages you. Take care, have a great week, and we'll talk soon.